Right, the weather. I know we all talk about the weather, and just look at the sky, sort of typical of what we've been getting the last 3 or 4 weeks really. Very little sun, and more than our fair share of rain, certainly no temperatures. So I guess that's a good reason to grow a wide range of plants rather than just rely on sort of tropical stuff during the summer, because we don't always get good summers here in the UK. So yeah, to have some plants that will do well even in the cool wet summer, because we pretty much what we had last year, and this year at the moment is the same. So obviously you can't go wrong with the tree ferns. They always enjoy plenty of moisture and don't mind the cooler temperatures. And when I say cooler temperatures, I mean we're in well into June, and it's not even cool, it's sort of almost cold. But regardless of that, yeah, so things are growing. Tree ferns have really put out decent flushes this year, so can't complain at that. The big leaf rhododendron is now flushing out. You see new growth on that. That is the Swalliensis, or something to that description. Yeah, that's doing this thing. Its leaves are just starting to open up. Hopefully they'll be nice and big, like the last flush last year. Yeah, so a lot of things, like I say, the cannas have been really slow to get going this year. Even the bananas to an extent have been slow. But yeah, I mean really, it's going to be just a quick video between the rain showers. So what to ask a question, or really ask people's opinion. So we've got a 3 foot or 3.5 foot tree fern here, which is now flushing out. The leaves are opened up and they're sort of slowly starting to harden off. And the dilemma I've got is obviously we've got the Gunnera behind it, and this is a Manicata, so this is a smaller Gunnera, but yet it's still massive. And yeah, so the question is, I've got a big leaf on the Gunnera which is kind of interfering with the tree fern fronds as they open, and I'm kind of 50-50, so I thought, well, what would other people do in this situation? So I'll ask you, and you can comment if you wish whether to cut this leaf off or not. So the leaf in question is this big Gunnera leaf here, which is sort of coming over the main crown of the tree fern. So in a sense it's sort of stealing water from it when it rains, which doesn't matter because it's on a drip system anyway. But yeah, so it's probably not helping, you know, the tree fern getting some natural rainwater. And also I think that the bigger dilemma is that, or the bigger problem is that obviously this is going to be damaging the fronds, and I can already see that we've got some of the new fronds which have opened, and they've sort of got damage on them where, you know, when it's windy, this big Gunnera leaf is sort of crashing into them. So I'm going to have a lot of damaged fronds, which you're not going to really see because obviously the leaf is there, the big Gunnera leaf. But when the Gunnera dies down, and you know the tree ferns are pretty much evergreen as we get a really bad winter. So yeah, so the question is, do I cut this leaf or not? And I'm kind of veering towards cutting it, even though it's one of the biggest leaves on there. We can see this sort of, I can easily get to it to cut it, so I can just cut it off at the stem there. I'd imagine it's not fully opened yet, that Gunnera leaf, but it's probably at the moment about 4 foot across, but I'm sure that'd probably fully open up to about 6 foot, which is going to encroach even more on the tree fern fronds. Yeah, so if you had the same dilemma, what would you do? Leave as is, or cut off that leaf that is potentially going to damage the fronds on the tree fern? And I don't know, this looks a bit crowded, so I really don't want to leave it too long. So again, I'm going to take people's opinion on this rather than me just making the decision, because I really can't decide. I'm 50-50 either way. Yeah, let me know, and within the next week it's either going to be cut off or we'll just leave it as is. Yeah, so again, with the wet conditions, like I say, a lot of the sort of true tropical stuff you'd expect to be sort of, you know, the dahlias and the cannas, and to extent some of the elephant ears that have been left in the ground, you expect them to be sort of really showing up and looking good now, and that's just not the case, because it's been so wet. Slugs have been a real issue this year. So the dahlias have literally just been, as soon as they pop out, they're getting eaten straight away. The cannas are being eaten and just been slow due to the temperatures. But again, some plants are doing okay. So we've got the sort of umbrella plant there, which is done okay with the wet weather and mild. That doesn't mind that. Yeah, some of the other stuff not looking so good, but you know, that is the case sometimes. So this is why you really don't want to put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to, you know, relying on certain types of plant that, you know, rely on good weather, you know, good hot weather. You know, that's always good to have a good mix of evergreens and just stuff you know is going to be reliable. And yeah, we all like the big leaf stuff that grows, you know, the bananas, which will kick out a leaf a week in the hot weather. But to be fair, you know, variety is the key. I will say the Musabashi are really struggling this year. I mean, it probably didn't help that I moved them early on season, so they're probably still putting roots down as well. But just due to the wind and the poor temperatures, they're really struggling. They've only literally put out about 2 leaves, and they're working on a third each on them. The Musa sicanensis Bengal tiger's done a bit better. Again, it's only sort of put out 3 leaves, but I think obviously they're a little bit thicker and smaller, so they do hold up to the wind better. But again, yeah, so if you're the type of gardener who just relies on, you know, summer growth, then you might be a bit disappointed this year so far. I'm sure things will pick up, and I'm sure things will start growing when we get the temperatures, but at the moment, you know, you're gonna have to rely on the other stuff, the more constant, more reliable things. I will finish it there, other than just having a look at the so a lot of the persicarias have just gone mental this year. I have just literally cut all these red dragon back, because they were literally, some of them still are sort of fence level, so we're talking 6 foot plus, rambling their way through some of the foliage, which I don't mind, but they can look a bit scraggly sometimes, so I have chopped them back, and I haven't wasted them. I have I'm going to propagate them, so I've got them in some jars of water. If you'd like to see a full video on how to propagate persicaria and a lot of soft leaf plants, and you know, that's going to apply. So yeah, let me know if you'd like to see that or not. I have done a video a couple of years ago on it, but you know, I could do another sort of updated one. But anyway, so yeah, one of my favourite Persicarias is the painter's palette, which is not one you see that often. But I think it's worth mentioning because they are particularly nice leaves. I mean, the leaves are as big, if not a little bit bigger than the red dragon, but obviously we've got like the variegation on them. We've still got the chevron V on them, but you get the variegated leaf as well, so you can see why it's called a painter's palette. Yeah, that's quite nice. It's not as vigorous as most Persicaria. I've had this for a few years and it never really gets much bigger than this, to be fair. Still very nice plant to have. Right, we'll leave it there, so let me know over the next couple of days whether to cut the big Gunnera leaf or leave it. The choice is in your hands now. Thanks for watching, we'll catch you on the next one.